take a moment. Let's really, guys, I know there's a lot going on in here, but let's just take a moment, breathe, look around, okay? My name is Dion Joy Wings. I'm the Vice President of Marketing and Community Affairs for Visit Baltimore. And I am so proud to welcome you on behalf of our President and CEO, Al Hutchinson, who so wanted to be here. This is one of his favorite events, so you got me. My apologies here. But please understand, this cannot happen without you sitting here. And if you look at everyone at one of these tables, everyone at a table right now, raise your hand. Raise your hand. These are cultural arts institutions, attractions, museums, retailers, community groups, nonprofit organizations. These are the people locally that we need to celebrate, support every single day. That's what Jubilee is about. We are here to celebrate a great man, and we need to celebrate, okay? So I'm going to start again. When I say celebrate, DJ, when I say celebrate, what type of feeling are we trying to create, DJ? What I need to see a little bit of vibe. I want you to move it. Come on. I see a little head nod. Okay, cut. Okay, understand something. This is not me being silly, even though my boys know that mommy loves a good dance party, don't I? They know I like a good dance party. But understand, it's really hard, and maybe I'm speaking for myself. Look at the people that you love in this room and think about the headlines and things that you've read this week just in Florida, okay? It is really hard to celebrate when you know that there is so much suffering around, right? And there's a quote, because people know I love quotes, there's a quote that I keep on my wall, and it says, "Life isn't about waiting for the storm to pass. It's learning to what? Dance in the rain," okay? So when I dance, I want you to dance, because we understand that when we're talking about Frederick Douglass, out of our struggles, we have found our light. When you look culturally, it is when times have been the darkest that the light has shined the brightest. And there is no better time to tell that story, or no better city to tell that story in Baltimore, okay? So we are I'm rushing through, I'm so excited because I'm feeling so much energy from the room, but we're in this room. And this room would not be here without the President and CEO of Living Classrooms. I want you to put your hands together for Mr. James Piper.
Now, how about Dion? I mean, is she amazing or what? She's a rising star. She is one of the bright lights for Baltimore City, and we're very, very fortunate to have her in a leadership role with Visit Baltimore. On behalf of Living Classrooms and the historic ships and the Douglas Myers Maritime Park, we want to welcome everyone here. The mayor is here. We love having the mayor here. We love having our Senator Chris Van Hollen here. It's fantastic to have our leadership here, and let's give them a hand as well. Yes. And I love having all the children here. I hope when you walk through that first room that you saw what's on the walls. That all that artwork about the legacy of Frederick Douglass was done by 6th, 7th, and 8th graders at the charter school, the Crossroads Charter School, which are Baltimore City children. This is one of the first charter schools in Maryland. It's the most successful middle school in the city. And our kids reflected on what did Frederick Douglass mean to them and their legacy. So on the way out, please check that artwork out. In fact, Soledad O'Brien, with her show Matter of Fact, is doing a national syndicated broadcast about it sometime in the next couple of days. We'll let you guys know about that. This building honors Frederick Douglass. There's a museum on the 2nd floor. Please check it out. Where's Candy? She's our director of our museum right there. Candy, anybody has any questions? She's fabulous. Candy Humphreys. Frederick Douglass, as a boy, lived right here in Fells Point for 6, 7 years of his life. He came as actually he came when he was 8 years old and lived for about 12 years, till he was 20, and he escaped slavery. But when he was a slave living in Fells Point, he worked on the shores and he worked in the shipyards. He gained skills. He was a caulker, and that was caulk the seams of ships. And if you look outside when you leave today, you'll see 3 historic ships that are still being worked on and caulked by students in living classroom programs. That's part of what happens here. But part of the story, back in 1866, after the Civil War was over, and Douglass was an older man and a famous man, an abolitionist, but he came back to Baltimore and he mentored a guy named Isaac Myers. And Isaac Myers was a young black man who grew up as a free black here in Fells Point. And he ended up starting the first 2 black unions in the United States. But as a young man, he was a caulker in a shipyard as well. And Isaac Myers, along with 15 other men, came together and started the first black-owned shipyard in the United States right here. And that's what the museum on the 2nd floor celebrates. And Frederick Douglass was the mentor for these 15 men. And this business ran for 18 years and was a very successful business and employed over 250 African Americans every year. So it was a very, very important part of our history that not too many people know about. So thank you for having this event here, because I think we want to celebrate that history, celebrate what Douglass and Myers did, because Douglass was the mentor for these men. That business was successful. Baltimore is successful. I'm going to turn it back over to Dion. Thank you for being here, and please come back and visit Living Classroom, visit this museum anytime. We welcome you. Thank you.
Thank you, James. We're going to keep this party going. All right, first let me give a little shout out. That's my mother. Wouldn't be here without her, literally. Hey, Daddy. My uncle, my cousin, my dad. Oh, wait a minute. You see, stand up, stand up, stand up. Mommy said stand up, stand up. Because I want the mayor to see you, okay? That's my family. Those are my boots. There you go. My baby did a little pose. Okay, this is this woman that I'm about to introduce to you. When we came up with the idea of Visit Baltimore about doing Jubilee, it really was riding this wave of Mayor Catherine Pugh saying that it is time for us to engage with our community. She believes in the fact that you cannot tell the Baltimore story without the people of Baltimore. And for too long, you have not been the narrators that you need to be. So to know in the spirit of what Jubilee is, I want to please put your hands together for our honorable 50th mayor of Baltimore.
Let's give Dion another big round of applause. Is she awesome? But on a real serious note, you all, I want you to know how important you all are and how important this city is. And when Dion says that you've not been included in the conversations about how we lift each other up and talk about the forward movement of our city, about equality and justice, it is absolutely correct. I tell folks every single day, it's great to have a wonderful downtown, but our neighborhoods have to be great as well. And so we're looking forward to continuing to invest in our city and our communities, because you all are important to all of us. This celebration of the life of Frederick Douglass is so important. This is his 200th anniversary, and it's one that all of us should know about. His legacy, his life, his heroism, and what I say to young people, find the hero within yourself. See yourselves as heroes, because when you grow up and interact with folks, you want people to look up to you. We're celebrating a great orator. We're celebrating a man who came in slavery, was able to become free, and become an advocate for all of us, for freedom, justice, and equality. And that is something that we must carry in the hearts and soul of every single individual who lives in our city, works in our city, and comes to our city. Equalities in our schools, equality in our neighborhoods, equality in our educational opportunities, as well as in our recreational opportunities. As one who celebrates every day the opportunity to serve as your mayor, I am so committed to moving our city forward. But I tell folks every chance I get to say to you all that I believe our city is headed in the right direction. In just 3 months, we were touted last year as one of the most dangerous cities in America. But in 3 months, we reduced homicides to 37%. In 3 months, we've reduced non-fatal shootings to 47%. In 3 months, we've been able to reduce violence in this city in every single category. You all, we are moving in the right direction. Investing in these young people, because they are our future, will make a difference in how we see our city in the future. So I commend Visit Baltimore for this celebration, because every chance we get to celebrate, we ought to celebrate. This is Black History Month, in a time for us to understand the contributions that have been made by African Americans all across this nation. We helped to build this country. And I always tell folks we should never be discussing about who belongs in America or in our communities. The Statue of Liberty says, bring me your hungry, your tired, your poor. Other than slaves, most of us came to this country as immigrants. So let us lift each other up, let us push each other forward, and let us remember the life and legacy of one of the greatest individuals who've ever graced the face of this earth, the 200th anniversary of Frederick Douglass. Thank you all. I also have the great honor and privilege to introduce someone who is no stranger to Baltimore, certainly no stranger to Maryland, certainly no stranger to the United States of America, because he represents us well. My senator, your senator, Chris Van Hollen.
Thank you. Let's give it up for Mayor Pugh. I want to thank Mayor Pugh for her leadership here in the great city of Baltimore, her leadership in Maryland, and she is also, through the efforts she's making here in Baltimore, getting the attention of others around the country who want to make sure that their cities can be all they can be. And we know that Baltimore is a great city. We know we need to work hard to make sure it can live up to its full potential, and that's what Mayor Pugh is doing, champion for justice and opportunity. So thank you, Catherine Pugh. And I want to thank Dion as well. It's great to be back with you for a second year. Thank you to Visit Baltimore for organizing the Legends and Legacy program, because it is so important that we have all our voices together in terms of telling the story of Baltimore and the state of Maryland. And appreciate your energy and the leadership that you bring to this. Let's give it up again for Dion, all right? And I want to thank James Bond and Living Classrooms for the programming they do here at this center, but really across the city of Baltimore. Living Classrooms has been a long-term effort to help with job training skills and workforce skills. So to James Bond and your team, thank you very much for hosting us and for all the work you're doing here in the city of Baltimore. And you know, in Maryland is home to so many who were champions and are champions in the fight for freedom and the fight for civil rights. I was just on the Eastern Shore the other day, and we celebrated Harriet Tubman, who of course herself won her freedom, but then said she needs to come back and help others along the Underground Railroad, sacrificing, putting herself at risk to help save others. And of course, in this city of Baltimore, it is home to the great Justice Thurgood Marshall, and he was a brilliant lawyer for the NAACP, brought the Brown versus Board of Education lawsuit, became a great Supreme Court justice. And if you haven't seen the new movie Marshall, I recommend it to you strongly. It was part of his early life and trial experiences. And then of course we're home to many others, but Frederick Douglass, is somebody who we can celebrate here in the state of Maryland. I am pleased that a little late last year, Eleanor Holmes Norton, Congresswoman Eleanor Holmes Norton and I introduced legislation in the United States Congress to establish a national commission to celebrate, honor, and recognize the bicentennial of Frederick Douglass's birthday, which is celebrated on Valentine's Day, so it was the 200th anniversary of his birth just last February 14th. And we created a commission, and that commission was just sworn in on Valentine's Day in the United States Capitol. And one of the members of that commission is the great-great-great-grandson of Frederick Douglass. And I'm proud to join him on the commission along with many others. And our charge, the charge of that commission, will be to educate the country about the difference that Frederick Douglass made in the life of our country. Through his work as the great abolitionist, also someone who was very engaged in the women's suffrage movement, and somebody who changed our country and indeed changed the world for the better. But the purpose of the commission is not just to celebrate his contributions to American and world history. It's also to recognize that the lessons that he taught us from that struggle are lessons that we need to continue to apply today in the fight for justice. Because as a result of Frederick Douglass and so many others who have gone before us, we have succeeded in making progress down the road toward building a more perfect union. But we all recognize we have a long journey still ahead. And I just want to read in closing to you some of the statements made by Frederick Douglass during his time, and how those same statements and ideas are important to us as we continue that fight for equal justice and equal opportunity and equal rights. He said, "It's easier to build strong children than to repair broken men." We know we've got to invest in our children right from the beginning, make sure that they have the support and opportunities they need. He said, "If there is no struggle, there is no progress." And I think we all recognize that it is our duty, as the mayor said, to continue that path toward building a more just state and country and world. And then he said, "Those who profess to favor freedom and yet depreciate agitation are men who want crops without plowing up the ground." So I hope as we celebrate Frederick Douglass, we will commit ourselves and dedicate ourselves to continuing to plow that ground for freedom and equal justice and equal opportunity. It is a great privilege to join with you today as we both celebrate the past, but celebrate in a way that illuminates our responsibilities as we look to the future. So thank you to all of you, and again, thank you to the mayor.
Thank you so much, Senator. Okay, we've heard the name, right? Now it's about the big, big event. Now I see everyone taking pictures. I saw a beautiful selfie over there with the mayor a little while. Use hashtag #MyBeMore, hashtag Jubilee 2018. This is no laughing matter. Hashtag #MyBeMore, hashtag Jubilee 2018. All right, we all got the hashtag? Okay. Everyone has done an amazing job in introducing this gentleman, so I will just say his name. Please put your hands together for the most influential man of the 19th century, Mr. Frederick Douglass. Now, let me just take a moment. DJ, I will never be able to think about Frederick Douglass and say him again. I'm gonna have that in my head. It is your birthday, am I correct?
It's my birthday.
What is a birthday without a celebration? Is there anyone here that is willing to sing happy birthday to Frederick Douglass? Is there anyone? Please. Oh, wait, is that a cake? Frederick Douglass, do you eat cakes?
Yes.
All right.
Baltimore, would you please join me as we celebrate Frederick Douglass' birthday?
Billie Holiday herself! Oh my God!
Please join me. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Frederick Douglass. Happy birthday to you.
Would you like to say some words before making your wish?
Man, ignorant of history, runs the risk of repeating it again. How in the world can you know where you're going if you do not know where you've been? I'm humbled. I'm humbled beyond any words to think that after 200 years, you still have the love necessary to keep us going forward. I'm humbled that you not just thought enough of me, but enough of what we did as abolitionists. That's what you came here today to say. You came in this room not just to say happy birthday, Frederick Augustus Bailey, Washington Douglass, but you came in here to tell all of the abolitionists that you're grateful for what we did, and that you're forever going to remember, because before I let you forget, may my tongue cleave to the roof of my mouth. Before I let you forget, may my right hand forget its cunning. God bless you and thank you.
We are, please get your cameras ready because we want to take a group shot of Mr. Frederick Douglass. But understand, there's a man who's not here, but he's here in spirit. His name was Tom Saunders. He was the founder of Renaissance Tours for too many years, longer than I am able to reflect upon. His goal was ensuring that the African American story was told in Baltimore. He recently passed, and for anyone who was here last year, you remember his gravelly voice. When Tom called, you probably let it go to voicemail the first time just so you can brace yourself for what he's about to bring to your doorstep if anyone has ever talked to Tom Saunders. He was a champion of the people. So with that, can we please put our hands together for a man that you may not see, but I best believe you feel him, Mr. Tom Saunders.
And we are good. Thank you very much, everyone.
Please put your hands together for Dr. David Fakule.
How's everybody doing? All right. Right is of no sex. Truth is of no color. God is the Father of us all, and we are all brethren. On behalf of the National Great Blacks in Wax Museum, on behalf of the co-founder and president, Dr. Joanne Mitchell Martin, on behalf of the spirit of the co-founder and visionary, Dr. Elmer P. Martin, I thank you all for being here as we formally immortalize one of the great black philosophers in our history. It's been a wonderful opportunity for me personally to prepare for this weekend of celebrations, to reacquaint myself with Frederick Douglass. There are so many things that I respect about the man. I'm just going to name a few in the interest of time. I love the fact that through his oratory prowess, the eloquence of his speech, he was able to show as a living example the abilities of black folk to be smart, to be intelligent, to be intellectual. I appreciate his media savvy. Well over 100 years before the invention of the internet, he realized the importance of media and projecting his message, which is why he was the most photographed American in the 19th century. I appreciate the fact that he always had a stern look on his face anytime he had a photo taken of him, because he wanted everybody to know he was not a happy Negro and his work was not a game. He was serious about what he did. I appreciate the fact that he was about cooperation, working with anyone regardless of demographic, as long as they were genuine about their fight against oppression, about the goal of liberation. And I appreciate the fact, above all else, that he constantly and relentlessly challenged the consciousness of this country. That he was unafraid and unapologetic to call out the hypocrisy of the American ideology and to call out the hypocrites who allowed it to permeate throughout this country's history. And how apropos that in 2018, we still need to call out the hypocrisy of the American ideology and to call out the hypocrites who let it continue to permeate in this country, whether it's in Baltimore, whether it's in Maryland, or throughout the United States of America. So I encourage you all to take heed from Frederick Douglass, to continuously call out those who do not live up to the ideologies of this country, to assure that everyone gets the opportunity for liberation that they deserve if they set foot on this land. And I'll close it with this. There was a young black man, this was a month before Frederick Douglass died, who asked Frederick Douglass what he could do to truly be a part of this country. And without hesitation, Frederick Douglass said, agitate, agitate, agitate. Let me hear you say it. Agitate, agitate, agitate. Continue to question the consciousness, continue to agitate, agitate, agitate until we get our liberation. Thank you.
The bondage of slavery has been broken, and no more shall we be regarded as less than a man. Our blood was shed valiantly throughout the conflict remembered as the Civil War, so that all citizens, regardless of the color of their skin, could stand as equal American citizens. Thank you, and God bless you.